Nothing worse than launching your Squarespace website to only find that it's invisible on Google search engines, which is exactly why I've brought together this free Squarespace SEO course that's going to walk you through everything that you need to know when it comes to actually following SEO best practices on your Squarespace site, and ultimately how you can attract your target customers to your site so you can begin to grow your website and your business. And this is super important because 85% of Squarespace websites are completely invisible on Google. So over 8 out of 10 people watching this video are likely going to be invisible on Google search engines. So there's a big problem to solve, and that's why I brought together this free guide that's going to teach you everything you need to know. But first of all, who am I and why should you listen to me? Now, my name's Henry Purchase and I'm the founder of SEO Space. We made the SEO plugin for Squarespace, and I've helped over 10,000 Squarespace websites rank higher up on Google. And in fact, websites that use SEO Space are 4 times more likely to get found on Google than the average Squarespace website. So by watching this video, you're getting direct access to all the learnings that I've gained from helping those thousands of Squarespace sites, building the SEO plugin for Squarespace, which has been officially approved by Squarespace when we got listed on their extension marketplace, and making the SEO Space Academy, which is our SEO course for Squarespace. So yeah, I'm going to hold nothing back and I'm going to share everything that you need to know to make sure you get found. Now, in terms of how I'm going to structure this course, it is going to be a long video. It's going to be over an hour long, and that's because I need to teach you everything that you need to know. I'm going to start off by working through the basics. I'm going to explain the fundamentals when it comes to SEO to make sure we're on the same page and ultimately make sure I can get rid of the jargon that might be giving you a headache at the moment. Then we're going to move on to keywords. I'm going to explain what keywords are, how to find profitable keywords, before then actually showing you with a real life example how you can take a keyword to begin improving your website so that you can rank up higher on Google for things your target customers search for. And then finally, once we've done all that, I'm going to show you the key step that you need to make sure you follow to ensure Google doesn't ignore your website. Make sure you stick until the end of the video to ensure you don't miss this key step, because you can do everything that I'm going to walk you through, but if you don't tick this off, many of you just aren't going to get found on Google. So I'm going to make sure that I cover things off incrementally all the way until we get to the key step at the end of the video that you're going to need to make sure you follow. And before I actually get into showing you how to do SEO on Squarespace, first of all, we need to cover the fundamentals. Now, I like to say there's 3 core areas of SEO. There's keywords, on-page optimization, and backlinks, sometimes called off-page SEO. Now, keywords are essentially search terms that your target customers search into Google in order to find answers to their questions, problems, and even products or services. If you've ever searched something into Google, the thing that you're searching into Google is ultimately a keyword. And the reason that keywords are so important, and the reason why often the first step of SEO, is because if you don't know the keywords that your target customers are searching, when it comes to actually improving your website, if you don't know what things you want to be showing up for, how's Google meant to know? And ultimately, how are you meant to grow your business through SEO if you're just going blind? So yeah, keywords are really important, and we need to make sure that they're being searched for by your target customers and they're not too competitive. And don't worry, that's things I'm going to be going through later. Then we move on to on-page optimization. And on-page optimization is essentially the process of improving your web pages on your website to follow best practices and be optimized for the keywords that you found. And the reason this is really important, because not only are there things that we need to tick off when we're doing SEO to just make sure in general that we're following best practices, but we also need to make sure we're communicating to Google what we want to rank for. And that's why it's really important to understand the nuances of Squarespace's SEO settings and also the best practices that you need to follow, because if you don't follow these, this could be one of the key reasons that you're invisible on Google, which, as I mentioned, 8 out of 10 of you watching are likely invisible. So we need to make sure we tick off all those things. Then third and finally, the third area of SEO is backlinks. And backlinks are essentially links from other websites to yours. The more links that you have from other websites to yours, as long as those are high quality websites, it increases something called your domain authority. And your domain authority is essentially a score given to your website by Google and other search engines that deems how much of an authority you are on the internet. If you've got no backlinks, your domain authority is likely to be 0, which might be a reason why search engines are completely ignoring you, because if search engines don't deem your website as an authority, they're less likely to take you seriously and less likely to show you up in search engines, full stop. So yeah, those are the main areas of SEO that I like to describe: keywords, on-page optimization, and also backlinks. And the reason why this is really important, because essentially how search engines send things called crawlers to your website. It sends a scout to your website, and that scout is going to review all the different pages, understand what your website is about, and then decide what you should show up on search engines for. And this is why SEO is really important, because if we don't do SEO to our website, when search engines like Google send crawlers, i.e. those scouts to your website, first of all, those scouts may not even be able to access your website if you're not following SEO best practices, if you've got technical issues with your website, and if you're not doing the things that are going to be showing you later. But even if you've checked that off, even if they actually get to your website in the first place, if you haven't used the right keywords in the right places, those scouts or crawlers aren't going to understand what you should rank for on Google, so that when your target customers are searching things online, they will be unable to show your website to those customers, which ultimately means you won't get found and you won't grow your business online. So yeah, that's sort of the fundamentals of SEO that I want you to know. Now, of course, if you have got any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. And make sure to subscribe to SEO Space's YouTube channel, because for most topics that we're going to cover in this video, we'll have a specific video that will answer that specific area. So make sure you subscribe to not miss out on those. Moving on, we're going to touch more about keyword research. We're going to cover some basics that you need to know, and then I'm actually going to walk you through a real life example showing you how to find a profitable keyword using a site that I'm going to be working on. Now, before we get started with any of this, as I've already mentioned, keywords are the things that your target customers search into Google when they've got questions, when they've got problems, or when they're looking for a product or service like yours. So the first thing that I actually want you to do is take a pen and paper or on your laptop in front of you. I want you to note down who your target customer is, what the goals and challenges they face are, and what you think they might search for when they're looking for a product or solution like yours. And the reason this is really important, because when we're doing keyword research, as business owners, we often use our own lingo, which can sort of warp our perception of what our target customers might be searching. When we're doing keyword research, we always want to make sure we're putting ourselves in the head of our target customer to really think about, well, what would they be searching if they're looking for a product or service like ours? Now, the example that I'm going to be using today is actually my brother's business. He has a gardening business in a small town in the UK where I'm from, in Shrewsbury. As you can see here, he's got a one-page website and he wants to add a new page to his website in order to broaden out his services to the wider region that Shrewsbury is in. So he's based in Shrewsbury, a small town, and he wants to get found more broadly within the Shropshire area, which is the region that Shrewsbury is in. So hopefully this is going to be a relatively easy example for you to understand, because ultimately we all know what a gardener does and we all know what sort of services gardeners offer. So what we're going to be doing today in this example, I'm going to be finding him a keyword that he can add on his new page in order to attract people from the broader area of Shropshire. Now, as I've already mentioned, when you're doing keyword research, you want to make sure you're putting yourself in the head of your target customer. Now, for my brother, because he provides gardening services and he wants to attract people in Shropshire, I need to make sure that I'm putting myself in the head. If I was someone looking for a gardener in Shropshire, what would I search? And to find our keywords, we're going to be using SEO Space's Keyword Explorer. And as I've already mentioned, you want to take the things that you think your target customers are going to be searching, and then all I want you to do is add it in this box here. Select the location where your target customers are, which again is why it's super important to know who you want to attract, because generally when we do keyword research, we'll do it by country. My brother only wants to attract people in the UK, so we'll make sure we've got UK selected here, and then gardener Shropshire. Because ultimately, if someone's searching for a gardener, they're probably going to be searching for a gardener and then in the location that they are. And again, all you need to do here is, once you've written down all the different things your target customers might be searching, that's when we use keyword research tools like SEO Space's Keyword Explorer to ultimately find the data behind the different things that our target customers are searching to make sure they're the right keywords to use on our website. So all we're going to do here is press search, and SEO Space is going to get us all the related keywords to this gardener Shropshire keyword. And all we'll do here is press view all. And this is going to show us 4 different keywords that are given when we type this in. Now, in order to really understand keywords, there's a few different numbers and data that we need to understand. First of all, there is volume. And as you can see here, volume is the total number of people that search for this keyword on Google per month in the selected geography. So this is telling me that 50 people in the UK search for Shropshire gardener. So thinking about my brother's business here, obviously, as I mentioned, he's based in this town. He wants to broaden out. And this is showing us the data that 50 people a month search for Shropshire gardener. So if we can rank my brother's business on Google for this, because people are searching it, that gives us a really good indicator that could ultimately help him grow his business, which is obviously really key because there's no point doing SEO if it doesn't grow our business. Then we've got something called CPC, and CPC is an estimate of how much it would cost to run Google ads for this keyword per click. So it stands for cost per click. A high cost per click indicates that the keyword could be lucrative because if someone is spending a lot of money to advertise for that keyword, it indicates that they're probably also making a lot of money from it. So as you can see here, while this isn't a lot of money that someone is paying in order to run ads for this keyword, at least it gives us an indicator that people are running ads on Google for this keyword, which means they may also be making money from it. And therefore, it could be a good keyword for us to go for. Then taking you over to the last thing that I want to draw your attention to, and that is KD. And KD stands for keyword difficulty, which is an estimate of how competitive it is to rank on page 1 of Google for this keyword out of 100. 1 is very easy and 100 is extremely hard. So this is telling us that the keyword difficulty for this keyword is 8, which means it's going to be relatively easy to rank for this keyword. Now, of course, it does depend upon where you are in your SEO journey. For those watching this video, if this is at the start of your SEO journey and you haven't really explored this before, I do recommend focusing on lower keyword difficulty keywords. However, if you're more of an intermediate and maybe you're an expert when it comes for SEO, you probably want to go for more competitive keywords because you've got the experience to beat the competition that are already ranking on page 1 for it. So looking at the keywords here, we can see that Shropshire gardener probably is a great keyword to go for. It's been searched by target customers just by using common sense and the exercise that you used earlier. It's pretty clear to us that if someone's looking for a gardener in Shropshire, they're probably going to be searching this. The data shows that people are searching for it, and it's a relatively easy keyword for us to rank for. Now, if we really wanted to, what we could do, we could take this keyword, we could type it into Google, and we can see the sort of websites that are ranking on page 1 of Google. And the reason that this is super helpful is this is called competitor analysis. Once you found a keyword that you think could be worth going for, I always recommend you taking that keyword, searching it into Google and looking at kind of websites that are already showing up. If those websites that are showing up look like competitors, or maybe you already know of those websites, well, that's a really good indication that that is the kind of keyword that you want to be going for. Other things that I like to look for, as you can see here, I've typed in Shropshire gardener, and we can see that the first thing ranking is actually a Facebook page, not a website, which again tells us that this is probably a good keyword to go for, because there isn't actually a website, sort of a website like my brother's that's ranking high. Then if we actually look at the Google My Business profile and we look at this website, you can see this is actually a broken link. So you can see that the Google Business profile that is ranking high for this keyword actually has a broken link on it, which is also a really good indicator, and why you should always do a little bit of competitor analysis. Because just by investigating the keyword that you want to go for, you can see some indicators like a website showing up, which isn't actually a real business. It's a Facebook page rather than someone's website talking about the services. And you can see little things like this, like someone that already ranks that has a broken website. So those are all really good indicators that not only this is a low competition keyword, but there's also websites and businesses showing up on Google that may be out of business or aren't fully relevant to the search term that someone is entering. So yeah, in this example, I'm going to be going for Shropshire gardener. Now, in your case, you may want to pause this video here in order to play around a little bit more, in order to do some keyword research, and maybe even to do a competitor analysis on some of the websites that you've just seen. Now, all I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to make a copy of the homepage, because we want to create a page that specifically targets gardening in Shropshire. So gardener Shropshire, which moves us really well onto the next part of the video, because by now you understand the fundamentals of SEO, why it's important, and I've just walked you through how to find profitable keywords for your website. The next thing to do, once you've found a keyword that you want to rank for, you then need to select a page on your website which best matches the keyword that your target customers are searching. i.e., you need to match pages on your website to keywords, because believe it or not, multiple pages on your website can't rank for the same keyword. If you have multiple pages on your site that are optimized for the same keyword, you might face something called keyword cannibalization. And keyword cannibalization is where two or more pages on your website compete for the same keyword. So once you've found a keyword, I want you to pick one page on your website that you're going to optimize for that keyword, so it's super clear to Google and the crawlers, i.e. the scouts that I spoke about earlier, when they crawl your website, understand which page should rank for which keyword. Now, on my brother's website, I've already got a page that's optimized for Shrewsbury Gardener. So I'm going to create a separate page that's optimized to rank for Gardener, Shropshire, i.e. the completely separate keyword. And in this part of the video, I'm going to show you how to do on-page SEO, which, if you remember, on-page SEO is the process of following SEO best practices and communicating to Google which keyword a certain page should rank for. Now, in order to do this, all we're going to do is open SEO Spaces plugin. And SEO Spaces plugin is going to allow us to scan each page on our Squarespace website to get a score and step-by-step instructions of how to rank that specific page higher. Now, we can either run a scan or we can scan a keyword, which we're going to do because we already know that we want this page to rank for Shropshire Gardener. We're going to scan with a keyword. SEO Space is just going to open this window here and scan the page. And as I've already mentioned, it's going to give us those step-by-step instructions. As you can see here, SEO Space has finished scanning this web page, and it's given us a dynamic traffic light checklist of specific things we need to improve on this web page to rank higher for Shropshire Gardener. And as I mentioned, this free course that I'm giving you is specific to beginners. So if you want to, if you already know how to do on-page SEO, feel free to skip ahead to the next section where we're going to be touching upon blogging, which is a super important area of SEO, or even to the step after that, where I'm going to be touching upon a crucial thing that you need to do to make sure that Google doesn't ignore your site. Now, for those of you that want to know how to do Squarespace SEO specifically and how to work with the specific settings, I'm just going to walk you through a few key things here. So the first thing, as you can see, SEO description, this is telling us that this page does not have a SEO description. So we need to write a search engine optimized SEO description that's 150 to 160 characters long, click-worthy, and contains the main keyword. Now, SEO Space does make this easy for us because here we can just select the tone that we want to go for, press generate, and SEO Space is going to generate a SEO description. As you can see here, it includes the keyword that we want to rank for. So now we've got the suggested SEO description from SEO Space. What you're actually going to do is head over to the settings for the specific web page that you're working on. So in order to get to the settings, you can either click here if you're in the editor mode, or you can click the settings here. And from there, all you're going to do is go over to SEO, where you're going to be able to edit your SEO description and then your SEO title, which we'll do in a second. Now, focusing on our SEO description, all we're going to do is copy the SEO description that SEO Space has given us. Now, before we just do this, there is a really frustrating thing that I find with Squarespace. This number here is actually the character limit of this box. So when we copy in the SEO description that SEO Space has given us, it's actually going to do 400 minus the number of characters that we've just entered to give this box here. And don't let this deceive you, even though Squarespace says 50 to 300 characters long, SEO best practices is for it to be 150 to 160 characters long. So all I'm going to do, I'm just going to remove a few characters in this box to make sure that the length is 150 to 160 to make sure that we follow all the best practices for the SEO description. Now, as I've already mentioned, SEO title is also here as well. So before we press save, what we are also going to do, we're going to head over to SEO title. And again, for best result, we need to make sure that we follow best practices, which in this case is to make sure SEO description is between 50 and 60 characters long and includes our primary keyword. So again, we're just going to generate it with AI here. SEO Space is going to give us some SEO title suggestions to go for. So we're just going to have a look at this and see if we can find one that we want to go for. I don't really like any of these. So all we're going to do is take the SEO title, which is this link text that shows up here. The SEO description is the text that shows up here. So all we're going to do is take the SEO title from the homepage here. I'm going to go back to the SEO title, copy that in, and then change this to Shropshire before then pressing save. Now, there are some nuances when it comes to Squarespace SEO that I'm going to touch upon in a second, but just a little bit of recap. So far, we've optimized the SEO description, we've optimized the SEO title, and then all I'm going to do is head over to this one here, which is the H1. And the H1 is the main heading on your web page. And as you can see here, it's telling us to make sure we've included our main keyword, Shropshire Gardener, in our H1, i.e. the main heading on the web page. So all we're going to do is press edit, head over to here and put in Shropshire, press save. And then before we actually rescan this web page to get our updated scan results, I'm just going to head over to the URL. Now, URL to follow SEO best practices, we want to make sure that it contains our primary keyword. And in general, it's between 3 and 6 words long. Now, all I'm going to do to begin with is actually include the primary keyword. I'm going to head back over to settings here. I'm going to stay in general. And then in the URL slug here, I'm going to be adding Shropshire Gardener. Now, SEO Space here is telling us to set up a 301 redirect. And if you're ever unsure at any point of how to do a specific area of SEO, and if there's something that you feel I've glossed over a little bit in this video, all I want you to do is hover over this little eye icon here. And SEO Space is going to give you a description as well as a step-by-step tutorial of how to fix a specific area. So I appreciate in some cases I may gloss over certain details, but feel free to pause this video and watch, as I mentioned, any of the videos on SEO Space's YouTube channel, or hover over this eye icon here in order to fix this particular area. Now, it does say here that if you change your URL, you need to set up a 301 redirect, which essentially tells Google that this page has moved from the old URL to the new URL. However, this is a web page that I've just created, literally 10, 20 minutes ago. Google in general takes between 24 to 48 hours to pick up new web pages on your Squarespace website. So because I only created this page, 20 minutes ago, Google won't have noticed it yet. So I don't need to set up a 301 redirect. However, if you are optimizing an existing page on your Squarespace site that you've had, let's say, for over 48 hours, at this point, you are going to need to set up a 301 redirect. But here I'm just going to press save. And then from there, I'm just going to rescan this page in order to get an updated SEO score and updated suggestions. So as you can see here, our score has actually jumped up to 50, which is great to see. And I'm just going to head through and I'm just going to check out the other suggestions just to see if there's anything else that we actually want to do. So starting from the top, you can see the first thing is indexing. And indexing is essentially whether or not your Squarespace site is showing up on Google. So if a web page is indexed, it means that it has been shown up on Google. If it isn't indexed, it means it's invisible and not showing up on Google. Now, because we've just created this web page, we are going to be saving this to the final step. So we're just going to ignore this now. And then we're going to go through and I'm just going to optimize this web page to include our main keyword. So we'll just go through the Shrewsbury Gardener. Going to change it to Shropshire. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of a time lapse here as I use the keyword as SEO Space recommends us. Now, obviously here I'm optimizing a web page that I've just copied from a homepage. So all I need to really do is customize the content on this web page for the new keyword Shropshire, which, as I mentioned, Shrewsbury is an area in Shropshire. So it's a little bit easier for me to optimize this web page. For you, it may take a little bit longer. So don't worry if it takes you a couple of hours to work through your new web page or a web page that you've just copied. For every person, it's going to be a little bit different. As you can see here, I've just added the keyword in the place that SEO Space suggests. Now here, as you can see in the images section, SEO Space is telling me to add the primary keyword in at least one alt tag. So all we're going to do is head over to a image and we're just going to put in the keyword in the alt tag, and then we're probably also going to do it for another one here, just again, as I've already mentioned, to make sure that we're including the keyword in the right places so Google understands what we want to rank for. So yeah, as you can see, we've changed this to include the keyword we want. More things that we need to work on, but we've had a really good start already. And it also gives us some suggested keywords to add. So as you can see here, there's one, gardeners in Telford, Shropshire, which again is another really good keyword that 480 people a month search for, that I'm also going to make sure that we include in this content here. So before we rescan this web page, I'm just going to press save, press rescan from here, and then rescan this page for a keyword, because obviously we've done a lot of improvement and we want to make sure that we update the score. As I mentioned, this is sometimes an iterative process, so don't worry if it's taking you a little bit more time than I've shown here. But please remember that with 85% of Squarespace sites invisible on Google, this stuff is really important. So I do recommend that you follow those steps. As you can see here, we've increased the score to 70% out of 100. We've got 20% better. Now, as you can see, there are some changes that we're still left to make. For example, you can see here that we've got the SEO title. And if you remember, we've actually already optimized the SEO title. So you may be sitting there thinking, Henry, I thought you optimized the SEO title, or maybe this is something that you've done on your website and SEO Space is still telling you that SEO title isn't optimized. Now, this is actually something that a lot of people on Squarespace reach out to us because they're concerned about. And don't worry, it isn't a problem with SEO Space. What we need to do is head over to our SEO title format. So if we could just go back and we go over to our settings, and then we head to marketing, SEO appearance. And then here, this is essentially our search appearance settings. And if we go over to pages, this is the search appearance format for any of our pages other than our homepage and our items, which are blog posts on our Squarespace website. And as you can see here, that our SEO title format for our pages is actually the page SEO title, this little line, and then this here, which is actually our site title. So that is the reason why our SEO title wasn't following best practice, because Squarespace actually by default often adds your site title at the end of every page on your Squarespace site and also on your items, which, as I mentioned, is your blog posts. Now, whether you keep this or not really does depend. If you've got a strong brand and you want on every page on your Squarespace site, when it's showing up on Google, if you want your brand, i.e. your business name, to show up on Google on your SEO title, which is here, then of course you may want to keep it. However, in this case, I'm just going to remove the site title from this because it's just not something that I really need to have. My brother's got a small gardening business. Having the name of his business isn't really going to help, in my opinion. So once we've done that, we just then need to go back to pages, the settings of the page that we're working on. And as you can see here, the length of this is 52 characters long. So this should now be optimized. So all we need to do is go back to SEO Spaces plugin, see if there's anything else that we need to fix, which I don't think there is, other than you can see here that it's saying that we need to make the primary keyword as a string. So all next to each other. A keyword is Shropshire Gardener, and here we've done Gardener Shropshire. Now, this is a tiny little detail which you may want to ignore if you really want to. Google can tell the difference if we just change our keyword in a different order. But if we want to follow all best practices, then of course we want to do everything that we can to maximize our chances of showing up on Google. Upon rescan here, we can see that our score has got to 80% out of 100. It's 10% better, which is great to see. Now, there are a few things that we need to improve, such as indexing. But obviously, as I mentioned, this is a new web page on our Squarespace site, so it's not going to be indexed straight away. Now, in terms of the actual indexing process, do not worry, because this is going to be something that I cover at the end of the video. So we'll come back to this. So once this is fixed, our score will actually go up to 90 out of 100. I always recommend that you aim for above 85%. So once we've sorted this indexing, we'll be in a really good place. So there you are, guys. Hopefully you're still with me after I've walked you through the on-page SEO process. I understand that some of the fine details may be a little bit boring, but as I mentioned, over 8 out of 10 of you watching this aren't getting found on Google. So it's important that we go through these steps. And trust me, this is something that I know works. I've not only seen this with myself, but I've also seen this with SEO Space Academy members, such as people like Elena, who after making a few small changes on a Squarespace site, I think she's got 7 leads in the past 2 weeks and she's completely booked out for the next 3 months. So just by making these small changes on your Squarespace site that I'm showing you in this video completely for free, you can begin attracting your target customers. So a little bit of a recap. We've gone through the foundations. I've taken you through the key things and the jargon that you need to know about SEO. We've gone through how to find a profitable keyword your target customers are searching. And then I've shown you how to optimize a specific web page on your Squarespace site for that keyword. Now what we're going to move on to is blogging. Now, when I say blogging, you're probably sitting there thinking, oh, not another thing that you're going to add to my list, Henry. I've already found keywords. I've already improved pages. Do I really need to be blogging on my Squarespace site? And unfortunately, the answer is yes. And what I'm just going to draw your attention to here, this is actually a study conducted by First Page Sage, which shows you the most important ranking factors on Google. So as I mentioned before, Google sends a crawler or a scout to your website. It takes information and then it analyzes it in order to figure out what you should show up for on Google and whereabouts you should rank. And this study actually shows the most important things that Google considers when it comes to where you should rank. And as you can see here, the biggest thing that Google cares about when it comes to ranking your Squarespace site, and in fact, any website, whether you use WordPress, Webflow, Wix, is actually consistently publishing engaging content, i.e., blogs, news, new pages that engages people that come to your website. And that's why it was super important earlier on in this video to pause, write down who your target customer is and who you want to attract. Because if you don't know who that person is, one, you can't publish engaging content that attracts them through the keywords that they search, but you also can't make it engaging because you can't speak to that person. Super important that you have a clear idea in your head. And as you can see, consistently publishing engaging content, i.e. blogging, is the most important thing. And in fact, when you look at the different things that matter, you can see there's keywords in the right places, essentially, which is something that we've just done. There's backlinks, which I mentioned at the start of the video, is a super key area. The other things are niche expertise, i.e. showing you're an expert in the topic that you want to rank for. So SEO space, we're obviously the Squarespace SEO experts. We'll consistently publish content that answers questions that our target customers have about Squarespace SEO to show that we're an expert and to make sure that people are engaging in our site. You can also see that user engagement is mentioned twice. So user engagement, i.e. people doing stuff with your website, clicking through to different pages, completing contact forms, staying on your website for a long time. These things are super important, as well as also freshness, i.e. making sure that the content on your site is up to date. And actually those 6 things make up the majority of what's important when it comes to Squarespace SEO. And in fact, when you look here, the website builder you choose isn't actually a ranking factor. So if you ever hear people say that Squarespace isn't good for SEO, you should move to WordPress or some sort of competitor, you should always remember back to this chart here, because as you can see, the website builder that you choose isn't a ranking factor. It's actually how you use that website builder to follow SEO best practices, which is why I wanted to bring together this free course in the first place. But obviously, as you've already seen, consistently publishing engaging content is so important, which is why now I'm going to walk you through how to write blog posts on Squarespace which follow SEO best practices. Now, when it comes to writing blog posts, I always recommend that you start off by answering the questions that your target customers have before they're ready to buy from you, i.e. you need to be writing information to answer questions that your target customers have. Because if you're able to attract their attention before they're ready to buy from you, in my brother's case, before they're ready to hire a gardener, well, that means that we're building brand awareness, but we're also showing to Google and to users that we're an expert in the topic, which, as you just saw from the First Page Sage report, user engagement and niche expertise is super important. And don't worry, I will link the study in the description, as well as also the link to sign up for SEO Space so you can do the things that I'm showing you. So hopefully you realize by now it's really important to make sure that we're writing blog posts. And because you already know what keywords are and what keyword research is, we also need to make sure that we're finding keywords, i.e. questions in this case, that target customers are searching. So we're actually attracting them before they're ready to buy. Now, in order to find blog post keywords, I always recommend starting off really broad. So instead of like when we found a keyword for that service page that we just optimized on my brother's site, if you're looking for blog post keywords, you can either go to competitor analysis and see what blog post keywords your competitors are ranking for, or you can head over to the Keyword Explorer and you can just type in a really broad term. So in this case, I'm just going to see all keywords that are related to gardening in the UK. Once I've typed in that broad keyword, all I'm going to do is press View All Related Keywords. And then I'm going to show you how to use SEO Space's settings to find the right keywords for your blog posts that are not only searched by your target customers, but are also low competition, to make sure that when we actually write those blog posts and you spend the time bringing together blog posts, they're actually likely to attract your target customers so that you're spending your time in the right areas. Now, once SEO Space has found all the related keywords, all I'm going to want you to do is select View All, and then you'll just need to scroll back up to the top. Now, because we're finding a keyword for our blog posts, we want to make sure that the search intent, i.e. the reason why someone is searching for a keyword, is for information, i.e. they're looking for a blog post in order to answer the search term, the question, the problem that they're searching for. So all we need to do is press search intent, make sure that it's informational. From there, we probably also want to make sure that the keyword difficulty is easy, to make sure that my brother's site is actually going to be able to rank for them. Because obviously there's no point finding keywords that just, there's no chance of ever ranking for. And then all we need to do is scroll through here, which common sense tells us that our target customers are going to be searching. As you can see here, a lot of these aren't really relevant. You can see setting up a gardening business. This isn't going to be something searched by my target customers, my brother's target customers. This is something that's going to be searched up by, a competitor of my brother. So we definitely want to stick away from this. We want to essentially find keywords that target customers are actually going to be searching. Now, as you can see here, because the keyword that we entered is gardening, this is only showing us keywords that are related to gardening. So maybe if we just take a step back, it's probably best to search something like gardener, because if I'm someone that's after a gardener, I'm going to be more likely to search for gardener than gardening. So we're just going to try again with gardener to see if this gives us a better starting point. So we're just going to wait again for SEO Space to find us keywords. So as you can see here, we've got 1,000 different related keywords. So we're going to do the exact same as we did before. Now, I understand that this video is getting long, and the only thing that I'll say to you is that SEO is an iterative process. I'm going through a real life example. This isn't something that I've prepared beforehand. I really want to show you what the process is actually like for finding those keywords, so that when you're going through and doing it yourself, you're actually able to follow me along and understand what goes into it, rather than me just, showing you pre-made examples that don't really teach you what it's like to do it from scratch. So I'm going to do the exact same here. I'm going to find informational, i.e. blog post keywords that are low keyword difficulty. And then here I'm going to sort it by the most searched. So as you can see here, we've got a ton of different, keywords that aren't really relevant. But then you've got something like here, how much gardener per hour, which realistically is probably something that my brother's target customers are searching. If they're looking to hire a gardener at some point in the future, they probably want to know beforehand how much a gardener even is, to figure out if hiring a gardener is a viable option. And again, there's going to be really similar questions in your niche or your industry that your target customers are going to search before they're ready to buy your product or service. Now, obviously, I can go through the other keywords and see if there's a better thing to go for. But just for the purpose of this example, I'm going to use the keyword how much for a gardener per hour. Then what I'm going to do is head over to this content brief. And this is actually a content brief that I use to get an article ready for ChatGPT to actually write it. Now, I will actually add this as a resource in the description so that you can use this for yourself. But just before I actually use this template, I'm just going to explain why I use AI and why I use ChatGPT to write this blog post. Because you may be sitting there thinking, hey, Henry, I thought that using AI to write content isn't actually a good thing to do. And actually, as you'll see on the screen here, Google's official stance to AI content is that it doesn't care whether content is written by AI or written by a human. What Google really cares about is whether or not that content is extremely valuable to its users. If you're just spewing out generic content that isn't really valuable, it doesn't have your unique knowledge and unique insight into the industry in, then it's not going to provide any additional value to all the other content on the internet. So therefore, Google isn't going to rank you. And that is a general principle that I always want you to remember with SEO. Of course, I'm walking you through best practices. I'm showing you to use the right tools. But the main thing that you need to do, and it's why I asked you at the start to write down who your target customer is to provide value to that person. If you provide value, if you write amazing content, Google is more likely to rank you because, of course, Google doesn't want to rank rubbish content. It wants to rank the best content so that its users continue coming back to find more great content. So using ChatGPT is completely okay as long as you're making sure that you're putting time and effort into what you put into ChatGPT, because the quality of what comes out of AI is directly proportional to the quality that you put in. And that's why I use this brief template, because it creates structure and it allows me to really add unique information that's going to be more likely for this article to stand out. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to take the keyword that I want to rank for, which is how much for a gardener per hour. We're also going to add some secondary keywords. So I'm also going to take, these related keywords here, and I'm just going to add it in because these are other keywords that we could also rank for as well. So I'm just going to add them here because even though, as I mentioned before, you want one page for one main keyword, Google's algorithm is also smart enough to detect related keywords that are very similar to this that you can also rank for. Then here, we're going to write the goal of the content. And yes, whenever you write an article, whenever you create a page, you always want to make sure that you have a goal. So whether it's a service page like this, where the goal is to get in touch or call, it's the same with your blog post. You want to make sure that there's always a goal. So in this case, I want to educate target customers on how much it costs to hire a gardener and highlight that it's not just about the costs, it's also about the quality, which is why they should hire my gardening services. The call to action should be get in touch. We're also going to add the link to my brother's contact page here. Now, in terms of the suggested title, I'm going to leave that blank for now because I'm going to let ChatGPT do it for me. Then in terms of the actual slug, we're going to make the slug just the primary keyword because, as you'll remember from before, you want the URL slug, i.e. the identifier at the end of a URL, to be the primary keyword that you want to rank for. So here we're just going to make the slug this. Then in terms of the competition, to find a competition for a particular blog post, all I want you to do is type in the primary keyword that you want to rank for. And then I just want you to get the websites that show up on Google, get a little bit of a variation, get different ones that rank in different places. And then I just want you to take the URL here and add them in. Now, one thing I've also just noticed here is that the blog posts that are ranking are about London because right now I'm based in London. Obviously, my brother isn't based in London. So all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add Shropshire to make sure that what is actually showing up is relevant for my brother. So as you can see here, there's some local competitors that are actually talking about Shropshire. So we want to make sure that we go for those. So that's probably a little bit more relevant. So we're just going to get those competitors and we're just going to add the URLs into here. And the reason why that is really important, and this is actually a bit of a cheat code when it comes to ChatGPT, is believe it or not, ChatGPT is actually able to visit these websites and actually scrape them to understand the content, to understand what we need to beat, and ultimately figure out how to rank higher than these. So sorry, I just put that in the wrong box. Put that here. Then we've got FAQs to include. Now, in order to find the FAQs to include in a blog post, there's actually a really nice hack that I'm going to show you here. All I want you to do is get one of the keywords that you want to rank for. And then what you actually want to do is head over to this people also asked. because this is Google showing you what keywords and what questions people ask related to this keyword that you've entered. So all you need to do here is get those questions and copy and paste them into your brief, because if Google is saying that these are questions people also ask that are related to this keyword, if you answer them in your blog post, you're more likely to rank on Google and you're more likely to show that you're an expert in that topic. And if you want more to show up, you just click here. There'll be more keywords and questions that show. Of course, you want to make sure that these are keywords that you actually want to rank for and questions you want to rank for before we actually get ChatGPT to write it. Then here in the brief, we've got a section that covers what this article must include, because as I mentioned before, we need to make sure that if we're using AI, we're listing out what this article needs to do to stand out, what's going to give it a unique twist, unique value, and what topics must we include based upon what already ranks. Now, from what I've seen looking at the competitors and looking at what already ranks, you can see that a lot of the competitors, they'll not only have a contents, but will also have a table that covers the type of specialism, the time period, and then the cost to hire a gardener. So we want to make sure that in the article, this article must contain a table listing the different rates for a gardener to ensure it's easy for the reader to understand the costs. Then we want it to make sure it includes a table of contents, because again, we saw, this is a really high ranking article. They've got a table of contents. They've got a table here. They've obviously also got questions covered throughout. They've also got factors that affect gardening prices. So you want to make sure that ensure to include factors that impact gardening prices. And then what else do these guys do? Is there anything else that we can look at? Obviously, they've got, photos in, lightly unique. Is there anything else? And then they've got key takeaways. You want to make sure that we include summary at the top with the table of prices, and then a key takeaways section at the bottom. So this is our brief. All we need to do then is head over to ChatGPT. I just want you to say, I want you to help me write an article for this site. This is where you add your website in. Please analyze this and await instructions. So as you can see here, ChatGPT is actually going to go through this website. And that's something that's a little bit of a hack when it comes to ChatGPT, because by feeding it the website that you're actually working on, it's going to understand a little bit more about the tone of voice, a little bit more about the services or product that you provide, as well as also other information that's just going to help it make this a unique article. Then what we're going to do, we're just going to copy this brief. I'm going to say below is a brief for the article I want you to write. Please go through, analyze the competitors, and write the blog posts. Now, before I actually get it to execute this task, what I'm just going to tell it is you are an SEO expert that understands how to write SEO optimized articles and beat the competition better than anyone else in the world. Because not only, as I mentioned, is it really important to get the input right. So we've given it unique content, we've given it competitors, and obviously we're getting it to understand the website that we're writing for. But actually, if you tell ChatGPT that it's an SEO expert, because it's got so much knowledge, more knowledge than you and I will ever have, it's read a really big portion of the internet. If you tell it that it's something, it will become that thing. So when I press enter here, not only can you see is it actually browsing these websites, it's analyzed the competitors that we want to outrank. It's also then going to write this article, give us the table, and give us that unique value that we ultimately want to make sure that we get in the blog post. So as this is writing, all I'm going to do is head over back to Squarespace. I'm going to go to not linked, and I'm going to press this plus button, and then I'm going to press blog. And this is actually something that I really love about Squarespace, because Squarespace has built-in blogging capability. So all we need to do is pick a template that we want to go for, we're just going to call it blog. And Squarespace is going to automatically create this blog post collection for us. Now, we want to make sure that it's got the right URL slug. As you can see here, it's just got blog, which is completely fine. Then all we want to do is actually delete the examples that it's given for us. We will keep one of those because this is going to be the one that we use for the blog that we're creating now. So as you can see, Squarespace has created us this fantastic built-in blogging capability. And all we need to do is head back over to ChatGPT. As you can see here, it's written this great article for us. Of course, obviously, I will need to go through, I'll need to spell check it. I will need to add that unique human touch and unique value. But as a starting point, if we just go over here, we add the blog post, we copy all the content and we paste it in here. Now, as you can see, there are actually references to some of these. So actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to say to ChatGPT, make sure that the article includes unique content. Do not copy the competitors. Use them for inspiration. Yeah, so we obviously want to make sure that if we're posting content on our website, we want to make sure that it's actually unique. We want to make sure that, we're not actually just publishing regurgitated content on our site. And while that's working, all we're going to do is work on the SEO. So as you'll already know, the keyword that we want to rank for is how much for a gardener per hour. So we're just going to edit the URL slug. Then we're going to go to the SEO title, which we'll optimize a little bit later, and then press save. Looking back at ChatGPT, it looks like it's done a little bit of a better job. So all we need to do is copy this. One thing that I will say is we will need to get it to write this table in HTML. So write this table in HTML so I can copy it into Squarespace. So as you'll see, when I just go here and actually copy this, you'll see that it hasn't actually pasted the table. You can see that it's just pasted it as plain text here. So that hasn't actually worked. So we will just need to do a little bit of formatting here and just make sure that everything looks right. So bear with me for a second. Now we've done a little bit of formatting here just to make it look a little bit better. And as you'll already know, we just need to make sure that we get the table. So we need to get this table code here. So copy code. Then it's super easy to just go here, type in code, and then as you can see here, it's added the table. It doesn't look too great. So we're just going to come to ChatGPT. The table doesn't look good. Please add code to it to make it look better with proper headings, lines, and spacing to fit and look good. A blog post. So as you can see, sometimes with ChatGPT, it is an iterative process. But as you can see here, in terms of a blog post, it's getting there, isn't it? There's definitely going to be things that we need to change. Like I think this title is going to be too long. If you remember, we want our SEO title and usually our title to be 50 to 60 characters long. So all we're going to do is remove this, a 2024 guide. That looks a little bit better. And then we'll wait for ChatGPT to be done. As you can see, it's added some more code here. So hopefully you're seeing, if you're still with me, as you can see with ChatGPT, things become so much easier. Look how easy it was then for me to turn this blog post from a basic blog post to one that's got, a table. It looks better. It's a lot more engaging. And as you can see, a user's easily going to be able to get what they need right from the top. Now, of course, we do need to do the featured image, so bear with me as I get an image. Before we upload the image, I always recommend that you head over to imagecompressor.com just to make sure that the image is below ideally 250 kilobytes. That can be hard sometimes just because Squarespace can often increase the size of your image after you upload it. But at least with imagecompressor.com, you can sort of see what the size of the image is before you upload it. And we just want to sort of get that balance. We don't want to ruin the quality too much. So yeah, it looks like we're not going to get lower than 250 kilobytes, but if not, 500 kilobytes is going to be okay. Then here, when we rename it, we want to make sure that we add how much is a gardener hour. So you always want to make sure that you actually name your images correctly before you upload them. In this case, we just want to make sure that the name of the image is the keyword that we actually want to rank for. So once we've done that, we can press save, and then we can press save here, and then we can start doing a little bit more SEO. So we can get the keyword again that we want to rank for, and we can open SEO Space. And just like we did with the page earlier, we can actually add the keyword in and then scan this blog post for the keyword that we want to rank for to start getting those step-by-step instructions of what we can do to rank higher up on Google. Beyond that, I am also going to be giving you some other tips in order to how to get other pages on your Squarespace site to rank higher. But again, you can see there's already a lot of things that we need to do. So I'm going to work through to try and get these correct. So as you can see, the score is 40. There's plenty of work to do. We're just going to time lapse this until I've got the score a little bit higher. So as you can see here, we've done some work on this web page and we've actually got the score up to 80 out of 100. Now, really similar to the page that I created earlier in the video, there's some things that we can't actually do right now in order to get the score higher, such as indexing, which is going to be something that we're going to cover at the end of the video. Now, the only thing that I'm going to show before I finish this video off and I show you that key step is something that you can do to boost other pages on your website. And that is called internal linking. As you're creating these blog posts on your Squarespace site, as you're creating new pages, I want you to make sure that you're internally linking from one page to others using the keyword that those pages that you want those pages to rank for. So as you'll know, we've just created a page earlier in the video that we want to rank for Shropshire Gardener. So all we need to do to finish off this blog post, we need to do some QA on it. So as you can see here, it's saying that the publishing date is the 11th of March, is actually the 21st of October here. So there's things that we need to do to improve it. I can also see if I actually search, I can see that there's actually, I'm based in the UK and there's some US spelling. So there's some just general quality assurance that I need to do on the blog post, as well as some editing that I just need to do to make sure I get this right. However, before I go, I want to just make sure that I've got a CTA and one of those internal links. So get in touch with us today at if you're looking. So all we've done here is added a little bit of text at the end that just gives us that opportunity in order to add those internal links. So if you ever want to add an internal link in Squarespace, all you need to do is hover, is highlight the text that you want to link. So here you can see I've highlighted this text. I can just then add the URL, can select that. And because it's an internal link, I don't need to make it open link in new tab. And then I can do the exact same for the home page here. So I can add that / and I can add home here. So as you can see, I've done those changes. And again, I'm just going to time lapse it as I make those final improvements to get this blog post ready. So yeah, as you can see from there, and obviously by the length of this video, SEO does take some work. And even when you use AI to speed things up, there are some things that you need to work on. And it's not always going to be right first time, but trust me from my experience with working with over 10,000 Squarespace sites, these are the kind of things that you need to do to make sure your business gets found. As you can see here, we've written an information-rich blog post that has value at the top, including this table. Yes, it was written with AI, but as I mentioned, Google doesn't care if you use AI, as long as the content that you provide is extremely valuable. We've added unique information in. We've made sure ChatGPT has analyzed the competition. And we've also added things like this, such as a table at the top of the blog post to provide a lot of value to those reading it so that they don't necessarily need to scroll all the way down. They can just find out exactly what they need at the top of the article. Today are, guys, blog post written. So in this video, I've gone through, I've created this page to target a new keyword. Obviously found that keyword. And then I've shown you how to add a blog post in Squarespace. Now, I would recommend just heading over to the footer. If you haven't added that blog post before, then I probably would recommend you just going here and adding a link to that blog post in the footer. So here I can just go and I can just put blog. I can also do Shropshire gardening, just to make sure again that we've got internal links to those different pages. So we're just going to do blog here. Then we're also going to do to Shropshire gardening. So again, these are just little touches that you can make to your Squarespace site, which you may think isn't necessarily going to make the difference. But again, as I've already said, working with this many Squarespace sites has really taught me the things that just people on Squarespace don't tend to do or might miss, which leads them to not getting found. Right, guys, so hopefully you're still with me. Now what I'm going to show you is the crucial step that you need to make sure you follow to make sure that Google does not ignore your Squarespace website. This is one of the key things that I see a lot of people miss. And again, it's one of the big reasons that 85% of Squarespace sites don't get found. And again, the reason why this is going to be so helpful, because by now, if you followed all the steps that I've shown you in the video, you've done on-page optimization, you've followed SEO best practices using SEO Space. You've then added a blog to your Squarespace website so that you're regularly posting engaging content, and you've added internal links from those blog posts and a call to action from those blogs to the main service pages on your website so that they rank higher, but also the readers, i.e. your target customers, they get the questions answered and they're being pushed to the pages on your Squarespace site where they can ultimately buy from you. Now what we need to do is tie that all off. And what I want you to do is head over to settings. Then I want you to go to third-party tools. Then you're going to go to connected accounts. And then from connected accounts, I want you to set up something called Google Search Console. And Google Search Console is Google's native platform where you can, one, not only tell Google that you're ready to be indexed, i.e. you're ready to show up on Google and get Google to pay attention to the pages you've got on your site. It's also where you can see how you're performing on Google search engines. So once you've made these initial changes and you've laid the foundations and you continue to work on your SEO, because unfortunately it isn't a one and done, it's where you can see how your Squarespace website is changing and improving based upon your effort. So all I want you to do is press connect account, select Search Console, then you're going to choose an account. So I'm just going to choose one of my Google accounts and then press continue. You just need to make sure that Google Search Console has all the access it needs. From there, if you just type in Google Search Console, click the top results, press start now. From here, you're going to be able to see your Google Search Console account. Now, I already had this set up before recording this video, but if you didn't and you've only just set it up, you're not going to see anything on this page. And before you go, what I want you to do, and this is the crucial step, is head over to sitemaps. And then in this box here, I want you to type in sitemap.xml. And this is actually the process of submitting your sitemap, which is a map of all the pages on your Squarespace website to Google to say, hey, Google, here's the pages on my site. Please send your crawlers, i.e. your scouts, to those pages to analyze what they're about and show them up on Google search engines. And if you weren't showing on Google before, this is maybe the reason why. And I would really recommend this if you've just set up new pages on your Squarespace site, is if you get those new pages. So if I get this Shropshire Gardener page, and I actually add this into the search bar here and press search, I can actually press this button here that says request indexing. So not only have we submitted our sitemap, so Google's more likely to send its crawlers to our website to index, i.e. show up our pages on Google, we can actually manually request indexing. So we can manually request Google goes through our website in order to display it on search engines. And we can not only do that for the new page that we've just created, but we can also go to our blog and we can go to the blog post that we've just created and we can do the exact same. So as you can see here, we've requested this page be indexed. So we've requested the new page that we created here. And then we can also do the exact same for the blog post. So we can say, hey, Google, this is a new page on our site. I'm going to request indexing. So please send your crawlers, please send your scouts to it to understand what it's about and display it on search engines. So as you can see, indexing has been requested. Now it does often take 24 to 48 hours, sometimes even 7 days for Google to display you correctly on search engines. And even then, sometimes you are going to have to do ongoing work, which is exactly why once you've done all of that, what I would then do is recommend you head over to SEO Space and actually audit the website that you've been working on. So complete a site-wide audit, which all you need to do if you've already added your site to SEO Space is press re-audit here, then re-audit. Select how often you'd like SEO Space to monitor your site. Because I'm on the designer plan, I can only keep it on monthly. Before then clicking any pages that I want to skip, as you can see here, it's actually picked up the new pages on the Squarespace site, which is fantastic to see. And then I can press re-audit, after which SEO Space is going to go through the site, re-audit it, and give it any new suggestions. And again, the reason why this is important is SEO is not a one and done. Your competitors are constantly improving. Google is constantly evolving. AI is only going to continue changing that as well. So you always need to make sure that you're working on your SEO to ensure that you're slowly improving up Google's search engine rankings. So there you are, guys. Hopefully you're still with me, and hopefully you've found this free Squarespace SEO course valuable. From the start, we went through the fundamentals. I explained the 3 core areas of SEO that you need to be aware of. I then explained what keywords are, and I showed you how to find low competition keywords that your target customers are actually searching. We then took that keyword and improved the page on our Squarespace website so that it ranks higher up for that keyword. After that, we then discussed why writing blog posts is super crucial and how you can use blog posts to ultimately rank your Squarespace website higher, but then also attract your target customers before they're ready to buy from you, which is super important because only 3% of people are ready to buy from you right now. So by writing blog posts, you're able to attract the 97% of people that aren't ready to buy. And then finally, we completed the final step, connecting our website to Google Search Console, submitting our sitemap, and then requesting indexing on our new pages that we've just created so that Google sends its crawlers and shows us up on search engines. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you have, please drop this video a like, drop a comment below, and also make sure to subscribe to SEO Space's YouTube channel so you can see more Squarespace SEO tips and guides. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video.